can't go any further. No. But that marker is missing out that trail. Oh, I think it's easy.
Yeah, it's kind of pointing this way.
Well, yeah, I thought this is the way you and Scott went.
No, we went up as far as you can go that way.
Oh.
But doesn't it look like it goes?
Yeah, it looks like it goes that way and goes around.
It just depends on what happens to us when
we're on
we
the
got to
other
get
side.
back.
Right.
Yeah, you.
This one's broke, but this is not the end of the tree.
Yeah, I don't know where. Oh, it's right there.
Where? So maybe this one did fall.
That one may have fallen, but it isn't enough to push that one over. Huh?
That's carnage, man.
It is. Look at this fucker. This took some power.
That's a crazy tree, man. Oh, Trenton will be mad. Maybe old mushroom on the end of this one. Probably they weren't eating that. Maybe they were. This looks like a little structure. The Russian olive.
That was a fit of anger there.
Fit of something. Maybe his woman told him no.
No, somebody told him I don't want nobody else in there no more. Now you watch, we won't see anything like that.
Totally.
You didn't expect that, did you?
Not by any way, shape, or form. Now this is where you were last time.
I told you when you first find them, they don't want you back. And they'll give you signs.
I think that's a good enough sign.
When Walters and I got on the pregnant female up.
Hi everybody, this is Patrick from Sasquatch in the Wild, and this is where we're going to start off. I played the little video in the beginning, and I made a little mistake when I was talking about that we were filming on the way back, and I actually was photographing because my camera cut out. And so the footage I'm going to show you of us talking about the aspens, the broken aspens, was prior to coming through this, or in the very beginning, like a video or two ago. So we are standing in front of what's a ground structure of a triangle or a star pattern. And this pattern, actually, the true triangle, is each point is actually facing a direction. The direction we came, the direction we could go, and the direction if we crossed the river and hiked around the bend, which we were talking about prior. This star was about 15 feet, that long pole thing that's right here. I don't know if you can see it. There's a shadow that's right here that's going up. Let's actually turn this just a little bit. You can see it. See that long pole? It looks like a shadow. That actually was a marker from a trailhead, and this was just a little bit off from that. It was probably about, it was about 6, 7, 8 feet away from that tip, from this tip right here. The trail does go back this way, and then it crosses the river that's on this side. But this was one of the first markers that I found that depicted 3 different trails. And in fact, that marker that's for humans, that's to the right of that screen where it's casting that shadow, actually shows 3 locations we can go. And that's when I started putting 2 to 2 together, that this was a marker that would show you which way to go. Now, this marker on the ground is Bigfoot related. The marker that's to our right is human related. And it's very interesting that they've got their own way of showing off where you can go. And that's what those V's are. When you find a V or an equal sign, those are directions that you can go eventually to find a V, or warn you that you're either going to walk into something or walk over something, or there's a trail coming up, or a road, or a path, or something. And it's very intriguing that those things are out there for Sasquatch to find. And we have our own markers out in the woods for us to find, to tell us where we're going to go. So let's start this little journey back to camp. So this rock display down here, I'm going to tilt the camera down a little bit. All these rocks, I called this the graveyard, because all these rocks in here kind of look like a graveyard setting, and that's why I thought that this was a headstone back here. This thing resembled to me a headstone, the way it's laid out, and I really thought that was bizarre, because you have these rocks that are all kind of forming up to that spot. There wasn't any known structures in this area for me to say, well, this was actually a site, but to me it was weird to find rocks just out of nowhere in this one clearing, that something brought in a bunch of rocks and dropped them right here. Another structure in the trees. There was actually a tree break in that. Let's go back to that real quick. Oh, there's a tree break. Did I not see one? Oh no, there's a branch. I saw it from, I'm looking over my phone to look at this. No, but it is a structure. You got limbs crossing over limbs, but that doesn't usually mean anything. But when these long branches are put in place, they're not busting anything here. There's no real broken anything. If the branches would have fallen down through, it would have snapped a lot of these, and then we would have had carnage looking there. But a lot of times you'll find logs over logs or branches over branches, and they're just placed in a certain way, a certain odd location, and I'll take a picture of it. because to me it's something significant. It may not be to you, but it is to me when I'm looking for Sasquatch related things or their evidence of them being there. We did find footprints as we were walking down through. We even found feces and stuff as we were walking down through. Why is this all the way over there now? Let's just turn that just a little bit. This is what we walked under. This weird little arch. We're going back towards our campsite. Mike thought the tree was manipulated. There was a handful of these trees. I'm not always a firm believer that they were manipulated by Sasquatch. I believe that there's other reasons why these things can happen, but that's what I know versus what he believes that these things are. You guys zoom that out on my camera a little bit. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, that was a little structure I found on the way down through. This is an arch that is pinned. That's the arch right there, a little baby aspen that's been pinned by another tree. This is in that area where the aspens had fallen, or where the aspens were pushed and broken. What's really strange about that area that this aspen right here should have been fallen. If there was a downdraft, this tree should have been down, because this tree was dead. But these trees were alive and these trees broke. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't add up. You can see how thick these trees are when they're busted, and where they're busted at doesn't make any sense either. Because if this tree was broken, this should have been broken here, and it's not. Or these trees back here should have been broken too, but they're not. But all these trees in here have those marks that when you scar these aspens, those trees are scarred for life. So something's come through here and marked them. Now, it could have been the cattle. It could have been the cowboys that were pushing the cattle in the area. It could have been Sasquatch. Could have been man. You don't know what actually did it, but it's always interesting to find this stuff. A strange rock stack. There's a big rock here and then two other rocks stacked on top of it. Now, could a person have done this? Absolutely. But we really didn't see a whole lot of people activity in the area. Now, I photographed this for a reason. So what was the reason I was photographing this? Was it just shooting into the... Oh, I may have been looking at the moss. Because there was lots of moss in these trees. Like, that's moss right there. And I may have thought that that was hair. I'm filming across the valley as we're walking back up towards the campsite. Just random photographs. I thought my pictures were more clear than that. That's a clear shot. I will, if I find a clearing in an area, I will try to photograph those areas just in case it, maybe I saw something in there that stood out. Say like this boulder kind of stood out. There's no reason for the boulder really to be there. It kind of looks like this is a pathway, the way that this thing is dug down through. And this was across the valley from us. I was photographing up on these rocks just to kind of see what was up there. I was photographing up on these rocks just to see if there was anything up here, kind of looked like I thought I was looking at caves because that was a good shadow. That looks like a nice shadow. There's some shadowing there. But I wanted to cross over and look down on the reverse side of this because sometimes you do find caves. And it does kind of look like that this area would give up some stuff for that. Like over here, it looks like there's some oddities right in here. It looks kind of intriguing. That may have been fun to go over there and explore that a little bit. This is the pathway heading back up to our campsite. The tree that was brought in and dropped for us. If it rolled, it would have rolled down and crushed this tree here, but it didn't do it. So clearly something came along and physically moved that tree. Let's see what that is. Oh, it's a stump. It would have damaged all these other trees, and there was no real damage there. This thing took damage, but again, it doesn't look like it was damaged on one side. Like something came along and snapped all these branches on this side. This is our long, wonderful hike back up through. Mike is photographing across the valley. Kind of looks like there might be a cave right here where something is. It's not an individual, but there is jaggedness here that makes me feel like that there's something like you could climb up and maybe drop down into. One of the feces we found almost right away, and thought that was pretty dang disgusting, but it was also very interesting because we don't know what created this. And it wasn't on the trailhead when we went down. It was on the trailhead when we came back up. And we found this one too, which was equally yucky. But the funny thing is you can see seeds inside a lot of this. You can see pine needles too. So that's a very odd, bit of odd piece of poop here. I was not about to collect that. I just did not want to have to deal with that. Now we're walking back into our campsite. I don't remember what Mike's got in his hand, unless it's rocks, or maybe a couple rocks that he found. And we're gathering up some debris for a fire. And I like to photograph at night, so I was getting the camera ready for some sunset images and some nighttime images. Playing around with settings on my camera. I'm going to leave it at this. Now, the next video, you're going to see, actually, in the next video, I should say, I'm going to tell you about what happens overnight and into that morning, because things change. And this is one of the first times I really get mad at Mike, because he does something that doesn't make sense to me. But I was told in the beginning that I am not very emotional when I talk about this, but I'm going to talk about this, and the camera will be facing me when I explain this, because you have to understand the frustration that I was going through and what I was experiencing, because in the next video I get hit. and I get hit by a Sasquatch and not by a person. But I physically get smacked, and I showed Mike my foot when I got hit, and he was caught off guard by this too. But my name is Patrick, and this is Sasquatch in the Wild, and I hope you enjoyed the journey so far. I will talk to you soon. Have a great day, and this next video will come out on Wednesday.